All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wealth Building for Dummies podcast. My name is Kyle Demian, and we've got Renji Matthew here with us as usual. Um, Today we're going to talk about why so many of us struggle with money and why we think that may be. And somehow I stumbled across this quote from Gandhi, which I think puts a lot of things into perspective for us. And before I get into it and before we read it, Renji, question for you, like when you were raised and brought up, I don't know if you have any similar experiences about money as I do. I'll share mine in a second, but what were you, if anything, what were you taught about money like when you were being brought up as a kid? Were you guys ever talking about it in the home? Were you educated about it in school? Kind of fill me in with what your beliefs were about money um,
Yeah,
as you were going through school and childhood.
yeah. During childhood, we never talked about it at home, but my parents did the best they could, and we never actually had the conversation where you sat down and talked about money. And at school, yeah, they never taught it in school. So my belief growing up was, you hear a lot of people saying, don't love money if all this stuff, but as I got older and because I grew up in a Christian home. And that was something I heard a lot in the church. But the truth is, if you really look at the scripture, it says the love of money is the root of evil, not, not money is the root of evil. And I think a lot of people grow up thinking, oh, money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. So if you're doing it for the money, if you're doing it because you love making money, yeah, you might make wrong decisions down your path. But if you're doing it for other, for your family or for a greater why or greater goal, then money is just a tool. It's just a
Yeah.
resource you have to be able to provide for others or to help others and stuff like that. So, yeah, so growing up, yeah, we never, I think that's what's missing in our country is the education. I know some schools are starting to incorporate it now, but I wish they did that before.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yep.
And yeah, I heard a saying before that goes like money only amplifies the person that you already are. If you're a great person, money is
Yep.
going to amplify that, where then now you can give back to charity
Right.
or, give back to others that may need help.
Yep.
But if you're a bad person and you get a bunch of money, um, you use that to do other bad things with money,
Yeah.
and my upbringing was very similar. We didn't talk about money at the kitchen table. We were never told to. We were told to never ask people how much money they made, or that was rude. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. We were
Hmm.
um, all these like negative beliefs that were installed into us about money.
Yeah.
And I agree, not only from my family, but from the education system as well. And funny enough, there's that one, for some reason I always think of the movie 101 Dalmatians where, oh man, I can't think of her name at the moment, but the
Gorilla
one
Deville.
main, yeah, the
Yeah.
antagonist of the movie
Yeah.
is a super wealthy rich lady, right? And she's portrayed as the bad person um
Hmm.
with her money and with her wealth. And so like those beliefs get instilled into us as a child. And funny enough, with this quote about from Gandhi, what does he say? He says that your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. But what does everything
Hmm.
stem from? Your beliefs, right? So if we're brought up with negative beliefs about money, that it doesn't grow on trees, that money is the root of all evil, that making money is bad, making too much money is bad. If you have ambitions of being a millionaire or being ultra wealthy, that's somehow bad. Those negative beliefs about money become your thoughts, which becomes your words, which becomes your actions, becomes your habits, becomes your values, and then lastly, becomes your destiny and becomes the rest of your life. And then guess what? When you have children, you raise your
Yep.
children up, and inherently, whether or not you know it, you instill those same beliefs on them, which I
Yep.
feel like is exactly why
Hmm.
most families, from one generation to the next, they tend to stay at the same type of monetary level,
Hmm.
and I listen to motivational, and I read a lot of personal development and it's like self-help books, I guess you could call it. And I feel like in a
Hmm.
lot of them, there is a common phrase that is, breaking the generational curses that have been passed along to you. And I think a lot of the time that comes from beliefs about money, business, and finance.
Yep.
You know, do you have anything to kind of add on that, Renji?
No, I think I agree with what you're saying. Like, I think people we surround ourselves with have a lot to do with who we become, right?
Yeah,
And most of the time growing up, that's your parents, right? Or
yeah,
your siblings, or as you get older, you have your school class, people you go to school with, your friends. And if all of you are thinking the same thing, you're all raised the same way, that's going to be your mindset for the rest of your life, unless you take action to change that mindset, right?
yeah,
And like you said, that movie is something we grew up watching when we were really little. So if when we're that young, kids believe everything, right? So they if they start believing that, oh, being rich is bad, that's what they're going to believe unless someone teaches them differently. And
yeah,
that's why kids also believe their dad or mom is their superhero. It's like they have an amazing belief. They have it's what is it called, childlike wonder. They can believe everything you tell them. So if you instill that in your kids when they're young, that hey, they can be who they set their mind out to be, and money doesn't have to be something that makes you a bad person. It could be a resource to help so many more people. It could be a resource
absolutely.
to make a change in the world, because if you're doing bad or good, you still have to have money to do either, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I guess it's easier to do bad things without money too. I guess it's easy to do good things without money too, but if you want to do it on a larger scale, I guess you're using it as a resource more so than anything else.
yeah. So what you just said is you have to change your beliefs, and
Hmm.
that's probably the first step. And then also, change your beliefs, change your mindset around money. Secondly, the education. Learning about money, educating yourself about just the basics of personal finance to start. Because we're not taught in schools, we're not taught from our parents, right?
Yep.
YouTube University is a great place to start. Picking
Hmm.
up some
Yep.
books is a great place to start.
Yep.
It's crazy, but there's so much information that's published in books that just
Yep.
sit on bookshelves everywhere and nobody ever picks up and reads. But
Hmm.
changing your mindset and then education is how you can start to break the generational curses, to
Yep.
flip your life around when it comes to finances. Because the truth of the matter, based on statistics right now, as a country in the United States, we have more credit card debt than we ever have in our history. We were
Hmm.
just watching a report this morning that Fidelity Investments reported that 300% more people in this year, 2023, at the time of this recording, are pulling out money out of their 401ks than they were just 5 years ago in 2018. The data kind of gets skewed during the COVID years, so they're not even comparing that. They're just comparing 2018 to 2023. There is 300% more withdrawals coming out of people's 401ks. And what does that tell us, or what does that mean? A 401k, number one, is retirement savings. That's your retirement fund, right? So people usually won't ever touch that until they're retired. And even if you go to access it before the age of 59 and a half, you're getting taxed and there's extra penalties that can be there. So
Hmm.
pulling money from your 401k out of your retirement for a majority of people is a last ditch resort. They
Yep.
usually put it on credit cards or take out loans. But what do we know? Backtracking as a country, right now we're in the highest amount of credit card debt we've ever been. So people are trying to get access to more credit. They don't have access to it. They're going to
Hmm.
starting to pull from their 401k and from their retirement monies now, which
Yep.
is a terrible idea, because then you're just setting yourself up for failure down the road. You're taking away compound interest, you're paying extra fees, you're paying the taxes on it now,
Yep.
and you're using it to fulfill your lifestyle. Um, I get it though. Some people may be in a position where they need to. It's their last ditch
Yep.
resort. But at the basis of this, how do we correct and turn around our, maybe not our economy, but how do we turn around, as a country, our beliefs about money, and therefore, what's going to lead to, better money habits? It's starting with your beliefs
Hmm.
and the
Yep.
education. And that's where we can start to kind of turn things around, not only for ourselves, but for the generations that are going to come behind us,
Hmm.
and, the legacy that we're going to leave, especially amongst our families. So,
Yep.
Renji, anything else you want to add before we kind of close out this show?
Yeah, I mean, I know we made this about money, but it's kind of true with anything, right? Like you mentioned, Kyle, that it's changing your belief
Hmm.
and then the education. So, and not just with money, but any action, you gotta, there's a belief that you can do that, right? And because if you believe something and if you don't believe you could do something, you're both right.
You're right.
So
Yeah.
if you got to have the belief that you can do something, be it starting a business, or saving up enough for retirement, whatever it is, you got to believe it can happen. And then the next step, like Kyle said, is taking action by educating yourself. Because if you just take action, you could still learn, but that's the hard way to learn because you're going to make mistakes. And if you're trying not to make mistakes, that's not the right way to go. And like Kyle said, there's a lot of free resources out there, and and maybe we can also help. So it's taking action to learn what's out there and then see, hey, how would this benefit me if I did this? Would it be any different than what I'm doing now? And if I did this, what would be my outcome? So there's all of those questions you want to ask yourself and whoever you're talking to, and and when you're doing your research.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
I love it. So if you want to change your future, start with changing your beliefs and your education. I want to thank you guys all for joining us on the Wealth Building for Dummies podcast. Make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, share this episode with your fellow friends or your fellow dummies, and stay tuned for more podcasts in the future. Thank you.
see ya.